where our scientists, artists, and experts will explain concepts in basic science.
Bear in mind that basic research does not have to be basic in the simplest sense of the word. It is something that we want you all to redefine to make it more attuned and relevant to the needs of our time.
At it. May I have another question for you? Is it okay to get additional flu and pneumococcal vaccines after getting vaccinated for COVID? Why?
Actually, it's
or why not?
Doc Les, it's not just okay. We should do it because the flu and the pneumo vaccine, they're different from the COVID vaccine. They're different pathogens, right? And we want to be protected from all these three because at least if we get these vaccines, we have to worry less about these three diseases, right? And I really recommend these vaccines. And personally, I am based in Switzerland, and we are heading into the winter season. I will be taking my flu vaccine in 3 weeks, actually.
Okay. So I think the related question to that is when, after being vaccinated with COVID vaccine, when can we get pneumococcal or flu vaccine?
So technically, you can get them actually on the same day. But the reason why we are not recommending that is we need to be able to attribute the adverse event to the proper vaccine, right? So is the adverse event you're experiencing from the flu vaccine or from the COVID vaccine? So typically the recommendation is, you wait for at least 2 weeks. But in general, you don't have to wait for that. If you know that the patient will not have time to come back, you can actually give it on the same day. But again, thinking that if an adverse event happens, we will not be able to attribute that to the specific vaccine.
Okay.
I would like to add also
For Velasco.
for the question. Because we are seeing actually co-infections. It can occur. You can have SARS-CoV-2 infection, and then also be infected with influenza, and that's it's a double whammy for you. And it's more serious if you have co-infections. We are also seeing concurrent bacterial infections together with SARS-CoV-2, and that's more difficult to manage actually. So that is why getting the shots, the pneumococcal and the influenza vaccine shots, protects you for these diseases. And if and when you get the SARS-CoV-2, it will not will not have concurrent infection because you'll be protected from those bacterial or from influenza.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Velasco. Another question in the Q&A box is about mixing the vaccine. So I think what they want to know is if they get one brand for their first shot, would it be okay to get another brand for their second shot? Any one of our experts would like to comment on this mixing of vaccines?
So, okay, maybe I can start something and then the other panelists can add. So, what I will say about mixing is that in an ideal world, the vaccines that we are getting should be the same, right? For the first dose and the second dose, if it's a 2-dose regimen, it should be the same. But we are not in an ideal world. And, the WHO SAGE Strategic Advisory Group of Experts, they have mentioned in a guidance document that if different COVID vaccine products are inadvertently administered in the 2 doses, you don't have to add additional dose of either vaccine. This is what they said. The other thing that I want to add is that mixing of vaccines actually is not something new. So this has been tried in HIV vaccines in the past, and even in the Ebola vaccine that we have, the J&J Ebola vaccine, it is what is being done. So the first dose is different from the second dose, and this is sort of a mixing, right? And so the advantage of this is are mainly flexibility, right? Because if you can actually mix these vaccines, then it's better. Secondly, it seems to be that the immune response is better if you are using several platforms, especially with viral vector vaccines. Now, having said this, I think it's important for us to look at the safety of mixing these different platforms. At the moment, there are studies with AstraZeneca and Pfizer, AstraZeneca and Moderna, or Moderna AstraZeneca, Pfizer AstraZeneca. These studies have been done in the UK and Spain, and it seems to show that it's okay. The immune response is actually even higher. But of course, with higher immune response, you expect more adverse events. So this is something we need to balance. So if you ask me, we can do this if really we don't have any choice. So talagang wala na kunyari, AstraZeneca ang first dose mo kunyari, and then wala na talagang dose na darating. So I guess in that case, we can do it, right? But without data to show that it's okay, at least that the immune response is the same or better, I would say it's really preferred to stick to the recommended first dose and second dose with the same vaccine.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Senicas. Lastly, talks about adverse effects of mixing vaccines, but I think Dr. Senicas has already dealt on that. Booster shots, and is there really a time frame to get the booster shot? So any response or comment from our experts? This is booster for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Maybe I could start.
Yes,
So,
Dr.
so boosters are usually recommended if you have, if you have waning immunity. So the durability of protection does not, if, for example, the durability of protection does not stay long for COVID vaccines, for some COVID vaccines, then you need to sort of boost your immunity to still get you protected. So some countries have been doing booster shots, and actually for the US, they're considering that the definition for fully vaccinated requires 3 shots. So that's for the US definition. But that's not yet set. For the Philippines, I think it's still being deliberated right now, whether to get the booster shot or who to give it to, special populations, like healthcare workers or OFWs who need protection when they go to abroad. For the other panel members, maybe you could also chip in for this question.
Hello. May I?
Dr. ULANDAY.
Yeah. So to add on that, I think we should also include policy here, no? I know that the science is already being studied, no? For example, the waning
Introducing Health Insight Wellness. Healthy Blend 15-in-1 and 16-in-1 coffee blend.